What I'm about to share surprised even me while reviewing the latest circulation research focused on adults over 60. And I want to be very clear from the start. This is not about a supplement, not about medication, and not about pushing your body harder. It's about a simple bedtime habit involving food, something most seniors already recognize, that research shows can support better blood flow to the legs by morning. For years, the conversation around leg circulation after 60 has been dominated by movement. Walk more, stretch more, stay active, and yes, movement absolutely matters. But what caught my attention in the research was this. Many older adults were doing everything right during the day and still waking up with cold feet, heavy legs, stiffness, or that familiar unsteady feeling when getting out of bed. That raised an important question. What if the real circulation problem isn't happening during the day, but at night? Several studies began pointing to something overlooked. As we age, blood flow naturally slows during sleep. Blood vessels become less responsive, circulation to the lower legs decreases, and the body prioritizes core organs. By morning, that can leave the legs feeling tight, cold, or weak, even if you walked yesterday. And here's the part that surprised researchers. Certain foods consumed before bed appeared to support healthier blood vessel function overnight. Not in a dramatic or forced way, but by working with the body's natural nighttime repair process. This wasn't about instant miracles or exaggerated claims. The improvements were subtle but meaningful. Warmer feet in the morning, less heaviness in the calves, smoother first steps out of bed, and better confidence standing up. That's a big deal after 60, because how you feel in the first 5 minutes of the day often determines how confident you feel the rest of the day. Before we go any further, take a moment and tell us your age and where you're watching from. We read and reply to every comment, and it helps others realize they're not alone in this. Now, before I reveal what that bedtime snack is, we need to clear up a common belief that may actually be slowing your progress, even if you've been trying your best to stay healthy. Let's talk about why walking alone, especially after 60, may not be enough to fix leg circulation, and why this misunderstanding keeps so many seniors stuck. Why walking alone may not be enough after 60. Walking has long been considered the gold standard for senior health. Doctors recommend it, families encourage it, many older adults rely on it as their primary, sometimes only, form of physical activity. And to be clear, walking is beneficial. It supports joint movement, heart health, and overall mobility. But here's what recent research has revealed, and this is where many seniors feel confused or even discouraged. Walking helps muscles work, but it does not always address how well blood is delivered to those muscles, especially overnight. After 60, the issue isn't effort, it's physiology. As we age, blood vessels gradually lose some of their flexibility. The inner lining of the vessels becomes less responsive, and circulation to the lower legs, the farthest point from the heart, becomes more vulnerable. Walking during the day helps temporarily increase flow, but once you stop moving and lie down at night, circulation slows again. That's why so many seniors say things like, "I walk every day, but my feet are still cold at night. I stay active, but mornings are the hardest. I feel stiff and unsteady when I first stand up." This isn't a failure on your part. It's a gap in the approach. Walking improves demand, but blood flow also depends on vessel relaxation, blood thickness, and chemical signals in the body that tell arteries when to open. Those signals are strongly influenced by nutrition, especially what you consume in the evening. Researchers began noticing something interesting. Seniors who paired light daily movement with specific nighttime nutritional support experienced better morning circulation than those who relied on walking alone. Their legs felt lighter, their first steps were steadier, their feet were warmer. This doesn't mean you should stop walking. Far from it. It means walking works best when it's supported, not isolated. Think of it this way. Walking is like turning on a faucet. But nutrition helps widen the pipe. Without both, the flow is limited. And here's the key point many people miss. Circulation problems after 60 often show up when you're still, not when you're moving. Nighttime exposes weaknesses that daytime activity can hide. That's why addressing blood flow during sleep becomes so important. To understand why this bedtime approach works so well, we need to look at what convinced researchers in the first place. The large-scale studies and massive numbers that transformed skepticism into certainty. The large-scale evidence that changed everything. When it comes to senior health, small studies and trendy claims aren't enough. Older adults want to know one thing. Has this been tested on people like me? That's exactly why the research behind nighttime circulation support stood out so clearly. What convinced researchers, and should reassure you, wasn't a single experiment. It was scale. Multiple large studies followed thousands of adults over the age of 60, tracking circulation markers, leg comfort, and morning mobility. These weren't athletes. They weren't extreme health enthusiasts. They were everyday seniors. People who walked, people who didn't, people with stiff joints, cold feet, or heavy legs at night. What researchers observed was consistent across locations and populations. Seniors who consumed specific circulation-supportive foods in the evening showed measurable improvements in blood flow indicators by morning. Not weeks later, not months later, by the next day. Even more important, these findings weren't isolated to one country or one research team. Similar results were repeated across different regions, dietary patterns, and lifestyles. That repetition is what shifted this idea from interesting to reliable. The improvements weren't dramatic in a flashy way, and that's actually a good thing. There were no sudden spikes in blood pressure, no overstimulation, no forced changes. Instead, the body responded gradually and naturally. Blood vessels relaxed more efficiently during sleep. Circulation to the lower legs improved. Oxygen delivery increased slightly but consistently. For seniors, that translated into real-life benefits. Less heaviness in the calves. Fewer nighttime leg cramps. Warmer feet upon waking. Greater steadiness during those first steps out of bed. Researchers noted something else that mattered just as much. These benefits appeared even in seniors who were already walking regularly. In other words, this wasn't replacing healthy habits, it was enhancing them. That's why the numbers matter so much here. Large groups reduce coincidence. Repeated findings reduce doubt. And when improvements show up across thousands of older adults, it signals a biological response, not a placebo effect. This is what allowed researchers to say with confidence, supporting circulation at night fills a gap that daytime activity alone often misses. And once that gap was identified, the next question became obvious. Why does improved leg circulation matter so much in daily life, beyond comfort, and how does it directly affect balance, independence, and confidence after 60? Why morning leg circulation determines independence after 60? When people hear blood flow, they often think in abstract terms, arteries, veins, medical charts. But for seniors, circulation is not a concept. It's an experience. You feel it the moment your feet touch the floor in the morning. This is where improved leg circulation stops being about comfort and starts being about independence. After 60, the body becomes less forgiving during transitions. Sitting to standing, lying down to walking. These moments are when poor circulation shows itself most clearly. Blood hasn't fully reached the lower legs yet, muscles feel stiff, balance is slightly off, and confidence drops, even if only for a few seconds. Those seconds matter. Many falls don't happen during long walks or strenuous activity. They happen in simple, ordinary moments. Getting out of bed, walking to the bathroom, stepping into the kitchen. When circulation is sluggish, the legs respond more slowly, and the brain receives delayed feedback about position and stability. That's why seniors with better morning circulation often report something subtle but powerful. They feel ready sooner. Their legs feel awake. Their steps feel more predictable. Their body feels cooperative instead of resistant. Think about everyday tasks that depend on this. Standing up from a chair without using your hands. Carrying groceries without feeling unsteady. Catching yourself if you stumble. Walking confidently first thing in the morning. These are not athletic goals. They are independence goals. Research consistently shows that improved blood flow to the lower body supports muscle responsiveness, joint lubrication, and nerve signaling. When oxygen and nutrients reach the legs more efficiently, muscles activate faster and balance improves. Even small improvements can make daily movement feel safer and less tiring. What's especially important is timing. Supporting circulation before the day begins gives your body a head start. Instead of spending the first hour warming up, you begin the day already supported. That's why the bedtime approach matters so much. It doesn't just aim to fix a symptom. It prepares your body for the demands of the next day. Quietly, gently, and without stress. And once seniors understand this connection, the fear around trying something new often fades. Because the goal isn't change for the sake of change. The goal is staying capable. Now that we've seen why leg circulation is so critical, the next question is an important one. Is this bedtime approach safe for seniors, and who should use it carefully? Safety first. Why this bedtime habit is gentle and senior-friendly. One of the biggest reasons seniors hesitate to try anything new is fear. Fear of side effects, fear of doing harm, fear of making an existing condition worse. And that caution is not only understandable, it's wise. That's why safety was one of the first things researchers examined when studying nighttime circulation support through food. The encouraging news is this. The bedtime approach we're discussing works with the body, not against it. There's no forcing, no overstimulation, and no sudden demand placed on the heart or blood vessels. Unlike aggressive supplements or late-night stimulants, this method relies on foods the body already recognizes. These foods gently support blood vessel relaxation, hydration, and nutrient delivery during sleep, a time when the body naturally focuses on repair and recovery. For most seniors, this means no racing heartbeat, no jittery feeling before bed, no digestive discomfort when portions are kept reasonable. In fact, many participants in studies reported better sleep quality, likely because improved circulation reduced nighttime leg discomfort and cramping, two common sleep disruptors after 60. Another important safety factor is flexibility. This approach is not all or nothing. If someone has a sensitive stomach, they can start with a very small portion. If someone is managing blood pressure or blood sugar, the timing and amount can be adjusted. The goal is support, not stress. It's also worth noting what this approach does not do. It doesn't replace medication. It doesn't override medical care. And it doesn't promise instant, dramatic changes. Instead, it gently encourages the body to respond more efficiently to its own nighttime rhythms. That distinction matters. Seniors don't need extremes. They need consistency and reassurance. Researchers emphasized that the benefits came from regular, moderate use, not from overdoing it. More is not better here. The body responds best when it feels safe. Of course, anyone with specific medical conditions or dietary restrictions should always consider their personal situation. But for the majority of older adults, this bedtime habit fits naturally into an existing routine without disruption. And that's exactly why it works. When something feels safe, people stick with it. And when seniors stick with supportive habits, the results compound quietly over time. With safety addressed, it's time to look at the structure that keeps people watching and learning. The simple countdown that reveals which bedtime option offers the strongest overnight circulation support. The countdown that reveals what truly supports overnight circulation. At this point, many seniors expect a long list of complicated rules or hard-to-find ingredients. But the research didn't point in that direction at all. Instead, it revealed something far more encouraging. Small, familiar food choices can have very different effects on overnight blood flow. That's why researchers often explain their findings using a simple ranking system. Not to create hype, but to clarify effectiveness. Let's start with what had the least impact. Some common evening snacks provided mild hydration or short-term comfort but didn't significantly influence blood vessel behavior overnight. They weren't harmful, they just didn't do much beyond satisfying hunger. Seniors who relied on these options still woke up with cold feet or heavy legs. Next came foods that offered moderate benefits. These supported circulation indirectly by helping with hydration or reducing nighttime cramps. Seniors using these noticed small improvements, slightly warmer feet or less stiffness, but the effects were inconsistent. Then there was the option that stood out clearly. The most effective bedtime snack shared three important characteristics. It supported blood vessel relaxation. It improved nighttime blood flow without stimulating the nervous system. It worked during sleep, not just before bed. Seniors who consumed this option consistently experienced better morning circulation. Not dramatically overnight, but noticeably. First steps felt steadier, legs felt lighter, feet warmed faster, and perhaps most importantly, mornings felt less intimidating. What made this discovery especially powerful was its simplicity. This wasn't a rare food or a modern invention. It was something many seniors already recognized but had never thought to use intentionally before bed. Researchers emphasized that timing mattered just as much as the food itself. Consuming it too early reduced its effect. Consuming it too late could interfere with sleep. The sweet spot was within a calm, relaxed bedtime routine, not rushed, not forced. That's why this countdown approach matters. It separates what sounds helpful from what actually supports the body's nighttime physiology. And by saving the most effective option for last, researchers ensured seniors understood why it worked, not just what to eat. Now that we know which option performs best, the next question is one many seniors ask immediately. How can something so simple deliver better results with less effort than traditional approaches? One of the most surprising aspects of this research was not what seniors had to do, but what they didn't have to do. There were no extra workouts, no late-night routines, no complicated schedules, and for many older adults, that was the turning point. After 60, energy becomes a valuable resource. Seniors often want to do the right things, but fatigue, joint discomfort, or simply the desire to rest can become real barriers. When health advice feels like one more task, it often gets ignored, not because people don't care, but because they're tired. This is where the bedtime approach stands apart. Instead of asking the body to work harder, it asks the body to respond smarter. Researchers found that when circulation-supportive foods were consumed in the evening, the body used sleep, a time that already exists, to do the work. Blood vessels relaxed gradually, circulation improved quietly, muscles and nerves received better oxygen delivery without any conscious effort. In contrast, traditional approaches often rely on more activity, more steps, more repetitions, more time. While those can help, they also require motivation, energy, and consistency, three things that naturally fluctuate with age. The bedtime method removed those obstacles. Seniors didn't have to push through discomfort. They didn't have to remember complicated routines. They simply added one intentional choice to something they were already doing, preparing for sleep. And because the effort was low, consistency was high. That consistency mattered more than intensity. Researchers observed that seniors who used this approach regularly saw more reliable improvements than those who occasionally tried more demanding methods. Small nightly support added up to noticeable change over time. This also helped remove a common mental barrier. I'm too tired to start something new. When something feels manageable, people are more willing to begin. When it fits naturally into life, people are more likely to continue. And when seniors continue a habit long enough, the body has time to adapt. That's why the results were often described as surprisingly effective. Not because the method was powerful in a dramatic way, but because it was sustainable. Better mornings didn't come from effort alone. They came from alignment, working with the body's rhythms instead of against them. To fully understand why this nighttime support works so well, we need to look beyond muscles and blood vessels, and explore the role the brain and nervous system play in circulation and balance after 60. How the brain and nervous system influence leg circulation after 60. Most conversations about circulation focus only on the heart and blood vessels. But research shows that after 60, the brain and nervous system play a much larger role than many seniors realize. Blood flow is not just about pressure. It's about communication. Every movement you make, standing up, taking a step, shifting your weight, depends on signals traveling between your brain, nerves, and muscles. These signals also influence how wide or narrow your blood vessels become. When communication is clear, circulation adjusts smoothly. When it's delayed or weakened, blood flow can lag behind movement. This is especially noticeable in the legs. As we age, nerve signaling naturally slows. The body becomes more cautious. Blood vessels don't respond as quickly to changes in position, particularly after long periods of rest like sleep. That's why some seniors feel lightheaded, unsteady, or weak when they first stand up in the morning. Researchers studying nighttime circulation noticed something important. Seniors who supported their blood flow during sleep also showed improved nerve responsiveness by morning. Their legs woke up faster. Balance felt more reliable. Coordination improved slightly but consistently. Why does this happen? During sleep, the brain performs maintenance work. It regulates hormones, repairs tissue, and resets communication pathways. When circulation is supported during this time, nerves receive better oxygen and nutrients. That improves signal quality the next day. This connection explains why better blood flow often leads to better balance, even without additional exercise. It also explains why the bedtime approach feels different from daytime methods. Instead of stimulating the nervous system when it's already tired, it supports recovery when the brain is most receptive. Another key factor is stress response. Poor circulation can keep the nervous system in a mild state of alertness. Legs feel restless. Sleep is disrupted. Supporting blood flow helps calm this response, allowing deeper rest and more effective repair. For seniors, this creates a powerful chain reaction: better nighttime circulation. Right-pointing arrow: calmer nervous system. Right-pointing arrow: improved morning responsiveness. Right-pointing arrow: greater confidence in movement. This is not about pushing limits. It's about restoring communication. When the brain and body work together smoothly, movement feels safer. And when movement feels safer, independence becomes easier to maintain. Now that we understand the role of the nervous system, the next step is crucial. Why slow, gentle support works better than aggressive approaches when it comes to circulation after 60. One of the biggest mistakes in senior health advice is the assumption that stronger, faster, or more intense solutions lead to better results. After 60, the opposite is often true, especially when it comes to circulation. Blood vessels are not rigid pipes. They're living tissue. And like all living tissue, they respond best to calm, consistent signals rather than sudden demands. Aggressive approaches, late-night stimulants, heavy sugar snacks, extreme remedies, or forceful routines, can actually work against the body's natural rhythms. Instead of relaxing blood vessels, they trigger alertness. Instead of improving circulation, they increase stress responses that tighten vessels and disrupt sleep. Researchers observed this clearly. Seniors who tried quick fix approaches often experienced mixed results. Restless sleep, increased heart rate, nighttime bathroom trips, or feeling wired when they should be winding down. Even if circulation improved briefly, it didn't last into the morning. In contrast, slow and gentle support produced steadier outcomes. When circulation-supportive foods were consumed in a calm bedtime window, the body responded gradually. Blood vessels relaxed over time. Blood flow improved without spikes. Sleep quality remained intact, and the benefits carried into the morning. This matters because aging bodies prioritize safety. After 60, the nervous system becomes more protective. Sudden changes are interpreted as potential threats. Slow input, on the other hand, is interpreted as safe. When the body feels safe, it adapts. That's why gentle nighttime support aligns so well with aging physiology. It doesn't ask the body to react quickly. It allows the body to adjust naturally while you sleep. This approach also reduces injury and complication risks. There's no strain on joints, no pressure on the heart, no sudden changes in blood pressure. Everything happens within the body's comfort zone. Seniors in studies often describe the effects using similar language. It feels easier. My legs feel calmer. Mornings don't feel rushed anymore. These are not dramatic claims, but they are meaningful ones. And meaningful improvements are the ones that last. When seniors feel safe, they stay consistent. When they stay consistent, the body has time to respond. And when the body responds steadily, independence is preserved longer. With the importance of gentle support established, the next question becomes hopeful. How does the body gradually adapt over time, and what changes can seniors realistically expect as they continue this bedtime habit? One of the most reassuring findings from this research is that the body does not need to be fixed. It needs to be supported, consistently, and then allowed to adapt at its own pace. After 60, adaptation still happens. It just follows different rules. Instead of rapid change, the body prefers gradual improvement. Blood vessels respond slowly. Nerve signaling strengthens incrementally. Muscles become more responsive over time. When seniors understand this, frustration fades and patience grows. Researchers noticed a clear pattern when seniors adopted this bedtime habit. During the first several nights, changes were often subtle. Some noticed warmer feet in the morning. Others felt slightly less stiffness or heaviness in the calves. These early signs weren't dramatic, but they were signals that the body was responding. By the second and third week, patterns became more noticeable. Morning transitions felt smoother. Standing up required less mental effort. Balance felt more predictable. Seniors reported feeling more ready when they started their day. This is important because confidence in movement is just as critical as strength. As circulation improves gradually, the brain begins to trust the legs again. Nerve signals become more reliable. Muscles activate more efficiently. That trust reduces hesitation, and hesitation is often what leads to instability. What makes this progression sustainable is its simplicity. There's no pressure to escalate quickly. No expectation of overnight transformation. Just steady support that allows the body to recalibrate. Researchers emphasized that consistency mattered more than perfection. Missing a night didn't erase progress. The body continued adapting as long as the habit was maintained most of the time. This gentle progression also reduces burnout. Seniors didn't feel overwhelmed or discouraged. Instead, they felt encouraged by small wins, warmer mornings, fewer cramps, steadier steps. And those small wins compound. Over time, better circulation supports other healthy behaviors. Walking feels easier. Balance exercises feel safer. Daily activity becomes less intimidating. Everything builds on itself. This is how long-term independence is preserved, not through extremes, but through alignment. As these changes begin to appear, something interesting happens beyond the physical. Seniors start sharing their experiences, questions, and concerns. That community connection plays a powerful role in motivation and success. Something interesting happens when seniors begin noticing small improvements in how their legs feel in the morning. They start paying closer attention. They compare yesterday to today. And very often, they want to know one thing. Is anyone else experiencing this too? That's where community becomes powerful. Health changes after 60 can feel isolating. Many seniors assume stiffness, cold feet, or unsteady mornings are things they just have to accept quietly. When they hear others describe the same struggles, something shifts. Relief replaces self-blame. Research on long-term health habits consistently shows that people who feel connected are more likely to stay consistent. Not because of pressure, but because shared experience builds reassurance. When seniors talk about what they're feeling, they learn they're not behind. They're not failing. They're simply responding to aging in a very human way. That's why conversation matters so much here. When you share your age and where you're watching from, you're not just leaving a comment. You're helping someone else realize they're not alone. You're helping normalize experiences that often go unspoken. Many seniors who commented during studies and programs said they stayed committed longer simply because they felt seen. They read others' stories. They recognized familiar struggles. And that recognition created motivation without pressure. Community also creates accountability, but a gentle kind. Not, you must do this, but we're doing this together. And there's another benefit that often gets overlooked. When seniors describe how their mornings feel, they become more aware of progress. Awareness strengthens confidence. Confidence encourages movement, and movement reinforces circulation. It becomes a positive cycle. That's why sharing matters just as much as the habit itself. If you feel comfortable, tell us your age and where you're watching from. And if you've noticed changes in your legs, even small ones, share that too. Someone reading your comment may need that reassurance today. As these shared experiences build, they naturally lead to a bigger question, not just how you feel tomorrow morning, but how you want to feel years from now. That future vision is where real motivation begins. After 60, health decisions start carrying a different weight. They're no longer about quick results. They're about direction. Every small habit nudges the body toward one of two paths: greater independence or increasing limitation. This isn't about fear, it's about clarity. Many seniors don't realize how much their nightly routines influence their future mobility. What feels small today becomes meaningful over time. Better circulation supports steadier movement. Steadier movement supports confidence. Confidence supports independence. Picture two different mornings. In one, getting out of bed feels uncertain. Legs feel heavy. Balance takes time. You hesitate before moving. In the other, your feet warm quickly. Your legs respond. You stand with more ease. You feel ready. That difference shapes how you approach the day, and eventually, how you approach life. Seniors often think in timelines, whether consciously or not. They wonder, will I still be walking confidently in 10 years? Will I need help sooner than I want? Am I doing enough now? The encouraging truth is that the body remains responsive well into later decades, when it's supported properly. This bedtime habit isn't about reversing age. It's about cooperating with it. By supporting circulation at night, you're giving your future self a better starting point each morning. And mornings matter more than most people realize. They set the tone for activity, mood, and confidence. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. Small supportive choices today protect bigger freedoms tomorrow. Walking unassisted, moving without fear, staying involved in daily life. That's the future this approach points toward. Not extremes, not pressure, just steady capability. With that future in mind, the final step is simple. How to begin gently, without overwhelm, and keep moving forward at your own pace. If there's one message that matters most at the end of this conversation, it's this. You don't need to overhaul your life to support your health after 60. You don't need perfection, you don't need intensity, and you certainly don't need fear. You only need a starting point that feels safe and realistic. This bedtime habit works because it respects the body's pace. It fits into routines that already exist. And it doesn't ask for energy you may not have at the end of the day. Start where you are. If that means a small portion, start small. If that means trying it a few nights a week, that's okay. Consistency grows naturally when something feels manageable. There's no deadline here, no race, no comparison. Your body is not late. It's responsive. Many seniors delay action because they think, I should have done this years ago. But the research shows something hopeful. The body responds at 60, 70, even beyond, when it's supported properly. Every night you choose support over strain, you're reinforcing a message to your body. We're working together. And that cooperation is what leads to lasting change. If this information helped you, consider staying connected. Not out of obligation, but because reminders and shared learning make consistency easier. Most importantly, be patient with yourself. Progress after 60 often whispers before it speaks. But when it speaks, it shows up in steadier steps, calmer mornings, and greater confidence in everyday movement. That's not a small outcome. That's quality of life. Start gently, stay consistent, and trust that your body still knows how to respond.